Thanksgiving night, I unlocked the door, no husband, no family, just his stepfather in a rocking chair. A note on the counter. Off on a cruise with my ex. You'll watch him while we're gone. The old man opened one eye and murmured, "Shall we begin?" 4 days later, my husband came crawling back. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind. My name's Jade Mitchell, 32 years old, a graphic designer who thought she had a pretty good life. Married to Brady for 5 years, we were saving for our first house, dreaming of a future with a picket fence and maybe a dog or two. Thanksgiving was supposed to be our big moment with his family his mom, Elaine, was hosting, and we'd been planning it for months. I'd taken time off work, spent hours picking out gifts, and was ready to play the perfect daughter-in-law. But when I walked into that house and saw Victor alone, something felt off. Then I found the note. It was on the kitchen counter, scrawled in Brady's handwriting. "Gone on a cruise with my ex. You'll stay home and take care of stepdad. He needs you." My heart stopped. I read it again, thinking I'd misread it. A cruise with his ex? And then I saw the names. Hannah, his coworker he'd been mentioning a little too often, and Elaine, his mom, who apparently needed a break. They'd left me to care for Victor, a man I barely knew, and they weren't coming back until Monday. 4 days from now. I felt the paper slip from my fingers as my hands went numb. My phone was already buzzing with notifications, and with a sinking feeling, I opened Instagram. There it was. Brady on a cruise ship deck, arm around a blonde Hannah, both of them grinning with champagne flutes in hand. The caption? New beginnings. Caribbean getaway with @Brady Mitchell and family. Family. The word hit me like a punch to the gut. There were more photos, Elaine sipping a cocktail, looking anything but stressed. Brady and Hannah at a candlelit dinner posted 2 days ago. This wasn't a last-minute trip. They'd planned it, knowing I'd be here, thinking we were all coming together for Thanksgiving. I turned to Victor, who was watching me from the doorway, leaning on his cane. "They left you with the dirty work, didn't they?" he said, his voice raspy but sharp. Classic Brady move. I sank into a kitchen chair, my mind racing. "I don't understand," I said. "We planned this for months. Everyone was supposed to be here." Victor just nodded like he'd seen this coming. He shuffled to the fridge, pulled out a pitcher of water, and poured a glass with hands that trembled slightly. "Been like this all week," he said, quiet as a tomb. "They left Tuesday. Didn't even stock the fridge. I hadn't brought groceries, just my contributions for the feast that wasn't happening." My phone pinged again, but it wasn't Brady. It was my best friend, Leah, texting, "Happy Thanksgiving." I silenced it, too raw to explain this betrayal. Victor sat across from me, his eyes too alert for the frail old man Brady always described. "Find something interesting?" he asked, nodding at my phone. I showed him the cruise photos. They're with Hannah from his office, the one he said was just a colleague. My voice cracked. They've been planning this while I was buying gifts and taking time off work. Victor's expression darkened. Hannah's been in the picture for months. Called here asking for Brady. Pretty voice, terrible laugh. He tapped his temple. Mine's still sharp, despite what they tell everyone. Then it got worse. I checked our bank account on my phone, and my stomach dropped. 3 days ago, a $5,200 withdrawal, almost our entire savings, the money we'd been saving for our house. "He took it," I whispered, showing Victor the screen. "All of it." Victor wasn't surprised. "They've been doing the same to me for years, taking a little here, a little there. For your care, Victor, they say. Meanwhile, the heat's turned down, my meds are delayed, and Elaine's got a new designer purse." I felt sick. This wasn't just a ruined holiday or an affair. This was calculated abandoning me, abandoning Victor, abandoning every promise Brady ever made. Something snapped inside me. "No," I said, grabbing my coat. "We deserve better than leftover soup. I'm going to the store. They might still have turkey breasts and potatoes. We're having a proper Thanksgiving." Victor's eyes lit up, a spark of something I hadn't seen before. "Haven't had a home-cooked meal in months," he said. "Brady brings fast food when he bothers to show up." At the grocery store, my mind was a whirlwind. How long had Brady been planning to leave me? Was our whole marriage a lie? I grabbed a small turkey breast, potatoes, green beans, barely noticing the other last-minute shoppers. When I got back, Victor was at the kitchen table with a stack of papers. "What's this?" I asked, setting down the groceries. "Evidence," he said, his voice steely. "Bank statements, medical records, documented neglect. I've been keeping track for months." He pushed a folder toward me. "Brady and Elaine think I'm just a burden waiting to die. They don't know I've been watching them strip my accounts." I flipped through the papers, detailed notes, suspicious transfers, ignored medical recommendations. Then he showed me a medical report. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, diagnosed 3 months ago. 3 months at most, he said, his voice flat. "Maybe less now." I sat down hard, my breath catching. "I'm so sorry, Victor. Don't be sorry," he said, waving it off. "Be smart. They think they've left you with a burden, but they've given us an opportunity." His thin lips curved into a smile that changed his whole face. For justice. He slid an envelope across the table, his real will and trust documents, not the ones Brady and Elaine thought existed. "Help me document their neglect," he said. "Assist with my final arrangements, and I'll make sure you're taken care of after I'm gone. They'll lose everything they thought was theirs." I stared at him, this man I'd barely known 4 days ago, now offering me a lifeline. We'd both been betrayed by the same people, left to pick up the pieces. Outside, the November shadows stretched across an empty driveway where a family should have been. Inside, an alliance was forming. "Yes," I said, my voice steady. "Let's begin." Over the next few days, we became a team. Victor showed me his medical records, a grim story of a terminal illness his family knew about but ignored. I found half-empty pill bottles in the bathroom, pain meds and enzymes diluted or skipped because Elaine called them too expensive. Victor's notebook detailed every missed dose, every canceled appointment, every dollar siphoned from his accounts. His mind was razor sharp despite his frail body. We cooked that Thanksgiving meal together, nothing fancy, just turkey, potatoes, and green beans, but it felt like a rebellion. As we ate, Victor asked about my marriage. I told him how Brady had slowly isolated me, suggesting I work from home, fixing my computer when it conveniently broke, questioning my clients and friends. When my dad died and left me $30,000, Brady insisted we put it in our joint account for our future. The same money he spent on that cruise with Hannah. "People like Brady and Elaine see relationships as transactions," Victor said, his voice heavy. I learned that too late with her. She charmed me when we met, beautiful, attentive, with a teenage Brady who seemed to need a dad. But after we married, the expenses started. When I set boundaries, I became the villain. The next day, Victor showed me his real assets, hidden investments, a Vermont property, Cayman Islands accounts worth over $3 million, untouchable by Elaine or Brady. "They think they're inheriting this house," he said, pointing to a deed. "It's owned by my holding company. They're getting nothing." His attorney, Patricia, arrived that morning, a no-nonsense woman with silver hair and a briefcase full of legal documents. "You're the abandoned daughter-in-law," she said, sizing me up. "Victor says you're an ally." She laid out his plan: new will, trust transfers, documented neglect to make it ironclad. I offered to organize the evidence. My design skills came in handy for cataloging everything. Neighbors started showing up too, like Mrs. Peterson from next door, bringing a casserole and stories of Brady's neglect. "He ignored Victor's fall in the yard last month," she said. "My Herald had to help him up while Brady watched football." Each visitor added to our case, their accounts of abandonment piling up like bricks in a wall. By Saturday, Victor's health was slipping. His hands shook more, his lips tinged blue. The hospice nurse, Diane, confirmed he had hours, maybe a day. Our plan shifted from revenge to comfort. I found peaches for him, his late wife's Sunday tradition, and read from his favorite Raymond Chandler novel. "No one's shown me this kindness since Martha died," he said, his eyes misty. That night, we finalized everything with Patricia. Victor recorded a video testimony, calm and devastating, detailing years of neglect. "Jade showed me more dignity in 4 days than my family did in 4 years," he said to the camera. We toasted with his 50-year-old port, saved for an anniversary he'd never reach. "To justice," he said. "To dignity," I added. Victor passed away that night quietly as I held his hand. No drama, just peace. I cried, not just for him, but for the bond we'd built in 4 days, a bond stronger than anything I'd had with Brady. Monday came, and I was ready. I arranged Victor's letter on the mantel, the evidence folders in the dining room, his video cued on the TV. When Brady, Elaine, Melissa, and Hannah burst through the door, laughing and laden with souvenirs, I stood by Victor's empty chair, dressed in black. "Victor passed away Saturday night," I said. Their smiles vanished. Brady dropped his bags. "You held the funeral without us?" he stammered. "I left messages," I said. "You didn't respond." I read Victor's letter, his words cutting through their defenses. Elaine scoffed, Brady fidgeted, Melissa looked guilty. Then I showed them the evidence, bank statements, neglected prescriptions, neighbor testimonies. Victor's video played, his voice steady, exposing their cruelty. Patricia arrived, delivering the final blow. Victor's estate went to me and elder abuse charities, with Brady and Elaine disinherited. The house they lived in? Mine, as trustee. Their smugness crumbled. Brady begged, promising to change, but I was done. I placed my wedding ring in his hand and walked out. As I drove away, Mrs. Peterson waved from her porch. I felt light, free. Victor gave me more than money. He gave me strength, clarity, and a second chance. I'd honor him by living well, not just for me, but for both of us.